Welcome back, America. When I think of the greatness of America, the statesmen we have today, and when I'm looking at foreign policy especially, I think of Tom Cotton. Tom Cotton's a combat veteran. Tom Cotton was really the first, or certainly among the first, to point out the problems we were having with communist China. And we want to talk about some of this today, particularly given the weakness of the Biden administration, the nuclear threats that are going on, the appeasement of Iran, China and Xi now. He's the premier for life and the afterlife, I guess, Senator. You've written a fantastic book, Only the Strong, Reversing the Left's Plot to Sabotage American Power. You can get it at Amazon.com, any major bookstore. First of all, what caused you to write this book, and what do you think about what's going on with this current administration?
Mark, thanks for having me on and for the kind words. I started to conceive Only the Strong last summer after the fiasco in Afghanistan. I had so many Americans asking me, how did we let this happen? How did we lose to a band of medieval savages? But then as I began to think more and more about it, I got that question in other forms too. Like, how did we let left-wing radicals rampage in our streets in the summer of 2020, tearing down statues of our heroes like George Washington and Abraham Lincoln and U.S. Grant? How we got to the point where we're allowing schools to indoctrinate our kids with critical race theory or transgender ideology, where we're subjecting troops in our military to similar kind of Maoist struggle sessions. And what I want to tell the readers of Only the Strong is that this is not an accident. This is intentional. The decline that they sense in America is decline by design. The Democratic Party has long been at best ambivalent about America and openly hostile to American power, whether our military, our sovereignty, about safety on our streets, or having a strong, prosperous economy. And it goes back to the roots of the modern progressive movement with Woodrow Wilson, the first president to openly repudiate the founding principles of our country, to criticize the Declaration and the Constitution. After you repudiate the founding principles of our country, it's a very short step to repudiating America itself, which is what the New Left did in the 1960s and the 1970s during Vietnam. And then you really have the culmination of these trends in the presidency of Barack Obama, the most ideological president since Woodrow Wilson, and now his understudy, Joe Biden. And the story I tell in Only the Strong is how we took that journey and how the left in America today continues to try to sabotage American power.
And sabotage American power, it's so true, and yet people will ask you as a follow-up, I guess, why would the Democrats want to do that? Why would they want to sabotage our power? Now, maybe I'm wrong, Senator, but my view has been because they want to collapse the status quo and substitute it with their ideology. Am I close?
Yeah, they're deeply ideological. Again, at best, they're ambivalent. Many on the left openly hate America. They hate our founding. They run down our history. Again, you see this best with the presidency of Barack Obama. Now, Barack Obama was a shrewd politician. He didn't say these things openly the way Woodrow Wilson did. But he sometimes let the mask slip, as when he said he didn't believe in American exceptionalism any more than, say, Greeks believed in Greek exceptionalism, which is really to say American exceptionalism is just kind of a outmoded, obsolete chauvinism for one's own. Or when he said he wanted to fundamentally transform America. Well, Mark, you and I know, and most Americans know, if you love something, you don't want to fundamentally transform it. Or consider what his wife said in the campaign in 2008, that she was proud of her country for the first time in her adult life, which really means that she had been raised maybe to be proud of her country as a child, but she had put away such childish things when she became an adult. And like so many left-wing progressives, she believed, as her husband believed, that America was a flawed place that needed to badly atone for its sins. You see that here in America with left-wing radicals trying to tear down statues, but you see it in the world as well. That's really what the Iran nuclear deal was about. It wasn't about stopping Iran's nuclear program. It was about Barack Obama trying to atone for what he perceived to be America's sins against the Ayatollahs going back 4 decades.
And how do you explain Joe Biden? All those years in Washington, D.C., really considered, I'm not trying to be provocative, a very fairly unintelligent individual, nasty individual, and yet there he is in the White House, or his advisors, pushing an extraordinarily radical anti-American agenda, I would argue.
Yeah, Joe Biden is a little bit harder to explain than Barack Obama. Barack Obama was a deep and committed ideologue. And make no mistake, Barack Obama was not inexperienced, naive, incompetent. He was ruthless in pursuing his own ideology to sabotage American power. Joe Biden has kind of been all over the map for 50 years. You know, he started out as a typical blame America first Democrat. After the first Gulf War, he became this kind of avenging liberal hawk. You know, he wanted to put boots on the ground in the Balkans. He condemned the first President Bush for not going all the way to Baghdad. But then he had a third and final turn after the Iraq War and preparing to run for president in 2008, in which he became a deep and committed isolationist. And now that he's surrounded himself with the ideologues from the Obama team, you really see the third term of the Obama presidency when it comes to sabotaging the sources of American power.
It's a great book, Only the Strong, Reversing the Left's Plot to Sabotage American Power. It's a very thorough book. It's a very easily read book, and it relates to everything that's going on in this country today, foreign and domestic.